Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place. And it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is the Anything Database version 4, part 2, adding a record. Part 2 is all about adding records to the database. That sounds simple enough. Enter data, save data. In a sense, that's true. But we need to separate some functionality. If the user is in the middle of an ad and changes his or her mind, we need to provide a way to cancel the operation. That said, if the user likes what they have entered on the screen, the ability to save that data needs to be a separate process, which we'll call update. And you'll quickly learn that we will be using update later when we give the user the ability to edit records. What's different about this ad and the structured version of ad is that we don't have to worry about formatting the data. That is automatically done when we instantiate the class. As we pass user data to the class, the methods in the class format the data for us. We simply grab the data and add the data to our class to our list. Watch. We've created the class and we've developed the form and have it in place. We even have a little bit of code in there to get us started. So right now we're going to be able to use that class, and the first thing in our little Anything Database project to do is basically add some data to it to see if it works, see if the class works. So we're going to do that by working with adding a record. And that's what this video is. It's part 2 of the Anything Database version 4. It's adding a record. As you can see from our area right here, our hierarchy chart, we have the add is sitting right here, and we're going to add records to a list. We're going to flip our buttons, so we need to make the user not be able to do anything other than update or cancel. He's got to be able to, he can't just get out of the program or do another add. So he's going to have the choice of being able to add or cancel down here, which we're going to have to establish as well. And once if he cancels, we're going to set our focus text box, flip the buttons, and make things just like it was before he actually entered anything. If he does an update, we're going to replace the record, which we've established in our list, and set our focus, the text box, and flip our buttons back so it's ready for the next record that's coming in. So these two little paths are going on right here. And we can straighten that by going forward. You can look at that and you can see that sitting right like this. So adding records to the list, flipping buttons, updating or canceling is really what we're looking at. So how do we do that? It's very much similar to how we worked with the structure piece when we did that, except we're using the class instead. So let's take a look and see how this is actually done. Again, we have our form is sitting out here. We're going to have a display number of records being created at any given time. We have a user message up here, which will tell us what record number we're on. We'll certainly use the name, first, middle initial, and last name. The addresses of the city, state, and zip will be used in there. We'll be using the add button. And then behind here, the edit and delete are the update and cancel buttons. So those will be visible and we'll be able to use those. The rest of these things we'll not be able to see. We want to make them invisible so the user can't work with these things. Navigation buttons will be off. We won't be touching those things because we haven't established yet we can actually navigate through there. That'll be another step we'll be working on in this thing. So this is what adding record looks like. So we'll take a look at our form design here and kind of decide what we're actually going to do. We want to use the add button. That's really what we're looking at. So we can certainly click on that and get that thing started. But is there anything else we need to do before that? Yeah, there is. We're going to be working with a list. We're going to be putting things out on a list. So we're going to need to update this thing a little bit. So we have our in-record counter, our in-record pointer there. We're adding and editing is going to be sitting in here. Our booleans are going to set false here. And we're going to add right under here is our list. And it's going to look something like this. Let's give it a space here. We're going to call it the anything list. So we're going to be using the person class and creating this anything list on there. Form 1 we won't touch. Exit is done. We can close this off so we don't have to deal with it anymore. And form load is probably done too. We're going to be setting our record count to 0 and displaying that count on here. So we can probably put form load away as well and not see that anymore. So the thing we want to do is go to our form and actually click on the add button. That creates a click event. And in here we want to do a number of things. We want to be able to tell the system that we're actually adding, so we'll use a boolean there. We want to enable the text box so somebody can type something in. We want to clear them, and we want to flip the buttons. We do that by adding those pieces in here. Now, the boolean adding equals true is simple to do. We simply turn it on. We're going to be adding. The enable text boxes, clear text box, flip buttons are all going to be methods. So these are showing as errors right now, so we have to actually develop these things. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably create the enabling text boxes routine. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put that right under here. And we'll call this private void enable text boxes and set up our braces. Inside this code, we basically just simply want to enable all text boxes. So if it's enabled, we want to make it not enabled. If it's not enabled, we want to reverse that and make it enabled. We're starting out with a form, basically, that looks like this. If you look at the properties inside these different text boxes, the enable property right here is set for false in all cases. So in other words, you can't type in here. So if you're going to hit the add button, we're going to turn them on so you can type in here. That's the reason for that. So that puts that in place. The next thing we want to do is we want to clear them. If there's anything in there, we want to get rid of it. So we'll set up another method. And we'll call that method private void clear text boxes. Establish that. Now, we certainly could have done all this inside the code, but why do that when you can use methods to make it easier to actually understand? We can look here, we're going to enable text box, we're going to clear them, then we're going to flip our buttons. That's what we're doing in our add. So that kind of tells us, we don't have to look at the code in here. We know what it's going to do. So for our clear, we simply put a space in every string field that we have on our form, and then we set our focus to the first name field so that the user can start typing right at the first name and go from there. That's all we need to do. Next thing we do is flip buttons. All of our buttons are sitting out here in visible mode, true, with the exception of the update and cancel button, which are behind these guys, and they're sitting at false. We can send this thing to the back once, and you can see the update button now. If we look at its property, visible property, it is false. It is not visible. So we want to turn that on, and we'll turn the cancel on, and all the rest of these things invisible so you can't see them. In other words, the user is going to hit an add button, which is going to allow them only to do an update or a cancel. You won't allow them to do a search, a clear, or load, or save, or anything like that. That'd be kind of crazy to do if you're in the middle of an operation. So we're turning all that off. So go to our form, and let's go ahead and create that flip button routine. We put that in place. And what this does, it takes anything that's visible and turns it invisible by button add.visible equals not button add.visible. It reverses all of them, and the cancel and exit and update and all those are in here as well. So the two buttons that are invisible become visible, and all the ones that are visible become invisible. So it's simply reversed. We can use it over and over again. It's a nice method to have. So if you remember, we've got this piece done, and we're flipping the buttons for setting things up. We don't see the clear in here or anything, but that's something obvious to us once we start working on this thing. So our hierarchy chart kind of gives us a path to follow, and then we substitute some things in there if we want. We certainly could add the clear and all this stuff in here if we wanted to. What we have now is we have the idea to do either an update or a cancel. I like to start with a cancel first, because what we're doing, we're setting things back to the way they were if the user decided to get out, which is simply setting the focus text box, flipping the buttons, and getting yourselves just like we're starting all over again. The update we'll do right after that. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to go to my form design, and since I've got my cancel and update sitting out here now, I'm going to double click on the cancel button to get its event. And there it is, private button cancel is sitting there. What do I want to do to cancel? Well, as we saw in the hierarchy chart, we wanted to flip buttons. We also want to enable text box or disable the text boxes because they're not being typed in anymore. We can close those things off. We want to clear the screen in case there's anything out there so there's nothing there. We want to turn off the Boolean so we're no longer adding. We decided not to add, so we cancel that operation. And our user message is going to say operation cancel. So we're actually going to save those things. Now the flip buttons routine is already done. The enable text box is already done. And the clear text box is already done. So having this work, this thing should actually work up to this point. Our add and our cancel should work. We can actually give it a little test here. Run it. And indeed we can add. Up comes the screen. I can type in Daffy Duck. And I won't fill in the rest. We'll just let it go. And I'll say, wait a minute, I don't want to do any updating. I want to cancel this operation. Cancel it. And what it does, operation cancel. Everything goes back to unenabled, and our buttons all return to the way they are. So we can do our add, edit, delete, search, anything we want to do, we can actually do again. So let's click out. And so we know the cancel was very easy to do. It was no problem at all. Now let's work on the update button. To do an update, we're going to click on it. That gives us our update routine. Now the update is somewhat a little more complicated, of course. Let's take a look. We want to be able to read the data entry. We want to grab everything off the screen and read it. We'll figure out how to do that. We're going to make that a method. We want to increment the record count. So we're going to increase that by 1. So if it's sitting at 0, it's going to be 1. If it's sitting at -1, it's going to be 0, whatever. But since it's a record count, it'll be 1. We're also going to display the record count. So we're looking for a routine that goes out and tells the form what it is and shows it to everybody else. Flip buttons, enable text boxes, clear text boxes are getting used again, because once we're done updating, we'll want to return things the way they were before we did the update. In other words, the user can now add another record if he wants, or go on to do something else. Adding is false. That's similar to our cancel. And our message is going to be record successfully added going to be on there. So there's really only 2 things to do, and that's to read the data entry and then display the record count. So reading data entry is what we're going to do next. We're going to pop it in here, and we're going to say private void read data entry. Put our braces in, and we're set to go. There's our routine. What do we want to do here? What we want to do here is we want to go ahead and create a class. This is going to create a new person class from the person class that we have up here. And from there, we're going to use the format procedures we have in this class. Take a look at the class real quickly. And we can see we've got all these things. Format first name, format middle initial, format last name. All of these methods are sitting in here that are going to take the string that we passed to it and add those blanks and create a fixed size that's going to fit into our class. So if the first name is 25 characters long, we put in Daffy. Daffy's 5 characters. It's going to add a bunch of spaces to the end of it and store it there. So that's what this is for. We will design this and it's going to work now. So that's what our new person thing does. Once we've got that in place, though, we've got our class, so we need to put it someplace. So what we're going to do is we're going to add it to a list. Pop that in here. I'm going to give it a space, and this will add it to the list. Like, let's go put our comment in here. Add instance to the list. And we're set to go. That covers the reading data entry. We increment the record count. Now we're going to display the record count. We need to do that too. So we're going to create another routine down here that's going to display that for us. Private, void, display, record, count. That routine looks like this. We take our record count to string, put it in our text box right here, whatever the record count is. And then we say if the record count is greater than 0, we want our navigation to be visible. We're going to turn on navigation at that point in time, which in our form is this box right here, our navigation box, which also is invisible when we start out. It's false. So we can't navigate, but once we have records in there, we can navigate. So we're able to use the arrows and make that all work. That's something we'll have to do later too and get that part working. So let's take a look what we've got here so far. It looks like we're ready to do the update. There's one thing I want to caution us about. I'm even going to take a look at it in a little bit, but let's go ahead and do this once. We're going to do a file save and start. This time we're going to create a full record. Daffy D Duck 1122. Press the update button. Notice we've got records successfully added up there, and we're showing a 1 there. So we're going to have to take it on faith that we actually have a record in there. And now I can add another one if I wanted to. But Elmer Fudd. Update that, and look, records successfully added. We have 2 records out there. Where are those records? We can't see them. We have no idea if they're there. They are there, but when you first write something like this, you have no idea if your code actually worked. And you don't really want to go on and see if, and continue with the rest of the project here without knowing that you actually do have something there. So what I'm going to do is I want to see one of these records and see if it's actually going there. How am I going to do that? Let's get out and look at this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create this. Right after the add anything to the list, I'm going to put in this little testing criteria, which I get rid of later, which is going to basically take our new person's list, take a look at it, and look at element 0. And then take whatever's in string address line 1 and put it in string address line 2 on the screen. In other words, if I have address line 1 is going to appear in address line 2, this will tell me that I actually got it. It actually is out there. Well, one thing I have to do is I have to comment out my clear text boxes, which is right here, because it wipes it out. Everything that's there, and I can't see a thing. So I'm just going to cancel this out real quickly and get rid of that on our update. And now we're going to run this thing again. I want to go out and I want to go out to my form. I want to make my form pop up in the middle of the screen right away. Center screen, and then do a save. Save all. Go back to my code so we can see the code, and then let's run it. Okay, I'm going to do that add again. I'm going to put Daffy Duck back in here. Remember, we saved nothing, so we have a clear file again. Daffy Duck 1122. I'm leaving address line 2 blank because we're going to have that address line 1 pop up in there when we actually do the update. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do an update right now. And the update is going to read the data entry, increase the count, display the record count. It's going to flip the buttons, enable the text boxes. It's not going to clear the text boxes, though. It's going to leave these things sit here. And then it's going to do, when it actually gets down to the read data entry piece, which is right here, it's going to go ahead and bring all those text pieces in there, add it to the list, and then I'm going to go out to that list, look at the first record in the list, the 0 record, and take whatever's in string address line 1, this thing here, and pop it into text address line 2 so we can actually see if it's there. So let's see if this worked. Yes, it did. It found it and grabbed it and put it in there. So I'm actually displaying this. Normally I'd be clearing this thing out completely, but I wanted to see if this is actually working. It is. It is. So I actually created the list. The data is out there, and I'm actually able to extract that data and get at it by looking at the data, by actually pulling it from the element in our person database. So that's good to see. So we know that this thing works from this point on. So we're going to clear this off. I'm going to go ahead and comment out this testing stuff because we don't need it anymore. I'll have it there just in case we need it. I'm going to take my clear text boxes, put it back in place, and have that sitting there. So that gives us an add. We're all set to do the add, and now it's working fine. I'll do a save all on this thing, and we now know that our routine works, and it can actually be run, and we're good to go. So the next piece we want to do, actually, was to do a real quick add here so we can see where we're going to be going with this thing. Notice that as soon as I hit add on that thing, the navigation screen did pop up. I can't do anything here, but if I could navigate on this thing. We're going to be coding this probably next to get this going so we can actually see our stuff and get our records going. But so far, that's the add routine. And we've got that going just nice. And so, it's not complete, of course. We just got this piece done. That's great to see. So we're going to go on from there. So next step will be navigation and then edit and all the rest of those things. We can now add records to our list. Saving that data disk would be nice. But before we do that, let's turn on navigation and let the user browse through the records in the list. That's what we'll do next. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance. And please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.